Good morning and welcome to another Sunday live stream on the Practical IT channel. I'm Jeremy, your host, and today we're going to be going over a few things that I hope will be interesting to you. And so I guess we'll get started. The first thing I've got on my list is to go through an install of NxFilter on Ubuntu 20.04. This is because I had someone ask about whether it ran on the new LTS version earlier this week. There are a few changes that you have to make compared to the last video I did, which was on the 18.04 release. And so once we get done installing Ubuntu server, we will go ahead and run through the NxFilter install. And I am actually getting that installer started while I'm talking here. So if I'm pausing while I'm talking, that is because I'm trying to think and type at the same time that I'm supposed to be talking. So we'll get this going, and then we'll get back into the video. And okay, and so now it's copying things. Let me open up another browser window, and we will open up my tech news sites, and we'll take a look through those while we're waiting on Ubuntu to install and get us to the point where we can move forward with the NxFilter install. So let me share my screen. Okay. So again, these are news sites that I go through on a regular basis. Sometimes I find some gems in these. Sometimes I am just scrolling and closing browser tabs. This may be one of those days. Anything interesting that we want to talk about today? Oh, this is kind of interesting. Ubuntu Web Remix distro offers Firefox-based Chrome OS alternative. So we'll open that in a new tab and see if we can come up with anything else that's equally interesting, or if that's going to be our focus while we're waiting on some other install stuff to happen. And not terribly interesting news this morning on Slashdot. So I think we'll move on to our Ubuntu Web Remix tab. Okay. It's a privacy-focused open source alternative to Google Chrome OS and Chromium OS. It employs Firefox instead of Chrome or Chromium. And they've got a download link. Website will be coming soon. Easy web app format created to package web apps for desktop. Here's a screenshot. which doesn't really tell us a whole heck of a lot at this point. So let's, just for the sake of argument, let's grab the ISO image. I'll start saving that, and maybe we will get to this before the end of the broadcast today. All right, that's downloading. And maybe we'll see that finished today. Maybe we won't. It's saying 2 days, but hey, it's all good. All right, let's see. Install Flask on Ubuntu 2004. Not really a Flask developer. That doesn't help me a lot. Beginner's Guide to ButterFS or BetterFS. And most of these are things that I've looked at before. New M1 Macs make cutting-edge machine learning workstations. Yeah, that should be interesting. I want to see what people are saying about the new Macs in 6 months' time. That's my time frame, and we'll see where they are. Good morning, David. I'm doing well. Hopefully, you are as fortunate to be doing well. And I'm kind of killing time right now. I'm finishing. I've got my Ubuntu server install finishing here for the NxFilter demo part. So we're just taking a look at some news items. So I've got a couple other things that I think we'll just skip some of these. Most of these are not updating terribly often. Okay, so we'll wait for that. No, I've been burned by the bleeding edge before, and we'll let somebody else get burned on the first production run. I'm really rather interested to see, before I buy another Mac, I'm rather interested to see if the guts of something like the Mac Mini are going to see an annual update similar to the way Apple updates iPhones. And I'm not sure that makes economic sense for them to do that, but they've done Stranger Things, and now that they're producing their own silicon for their Macs, I could see it being, every 18 months they get an update, something along that line. But there are so many unknowns right now, and I'm still rather sold on the idea of moving back to Linux and putting together a nice Ryzen system and seeing how that works out for a while, and then eventually I will almost certainly have to buy another Mac, but I may not buy it new. I haven't decided that part yet, and the reason I say I'd have to buy another Mac is because the position I'm in, working at a library, I have to be able to support patrons that come in and have questions or problems, whatever system they're running. And so, keeping at least one Mac around allows me the flexibility to do that. Um, it's also nice to know, what other platforms are doing. So even if I get back to the point where I'm running, 95% Linux again, um, I've still got one Windows machine on my network. I'll likely always have a Mac, maybe not multiple Macs in the future, but a Mac on my network, and a variety of Linux distributions. So from that standpoint, I like to be well rounded. I may not have all the answers for all the systems all the time, but by using all the systems, or as many Linux distributions as I can humanly keep up with, um, it just makes me a little bit more versatile and able to solve problems in different ways. So uh, that sounds like a an interesting problem to have. Resisting the urge to buy the last part you need for a new system. I've been there before, and usually I give in to temptation and hit that buy button before I really want to or had planned to. But yeah, I've definitely been there before. So this should be done in another few minutes. I'm going to take that off screen for the moment. I want to check on a couple of other things. And I did make the mistake this morning. I started uploading a video to YouTube and thought that it might go faster than it has been. So while we're live streaming, I'm also uploading a video to YouTube, which I I really should have thought that through better, but I don't really want to cancel it since it's over 50% done now. So when I drop the screen share, um, I'm usually checking on something where I don't want to reveal personal information for whatever reason. Um, so, um, well, let's see. Let's see. I've got something else I can share here, I suppose. Um, let's do share application window. All right. So forgive me for using a 4x3 monitor, which is the only thing I had that would fit on my particular shelf that I've got this computer on. So earlier this week, my lone Windows machine had a hard drive failure. So I ended up throwing in a solid state drive that I had on the shelf for another project. So little setback on that project, but I have been working this week on getting this Windows system into shape and getting software installed on it. And so the if this wants to cooperate with me, the last update upgraded me to the 20.2 update, and it's running. I think it's actually slowed the machine down to a certain extent. In fact, it's seemingly locked up at the moment. So let me disconnect and we'll try to reestablish that one more time. And without fail, I am bit once again by the live demo curse. Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. We'll make it through this, and hopefully, hopefully still provide some value. That is a little disappointing, though. All right. So let's go ahead and minimize that for the moment. Well, let's see. I had my notes here for NxFilter. And so my notes that I built for NxFilter, I will share the screen again and show off my notes. The notes I built for NxFilter, these are based in large part on the tutorial on their website, and I'm going to zoom that in a bit. Based in large part on the tutorial on their website with changes that I've made to make them run on Windows Server, or excuse me, Ubuntu Server 20.04. So right now I am in step 1 of this. It's the Ubuntu server is installing, and the SSH server option was selected at during the install time. Good morning, Jacob. Yes, Mac OS can run in VMware Workstation, but there is and always has been question about the legality of doing that. So I've not gone down that rabbit hole, but yes, I have been aware that you can run Mac OS and VMware Workstation, and I believe up to the time where they discontinue support for Intel, you will be able to continue doing that with patches, of course. So, anyways, back to the NxFilter discussion. So the first thing I always do when I get through the installation and have rebooted is I run update and upgrade. And in case anybody is not aware of this, you do not have to use apt-get anymore. You can just use apt and save yourself about eight keystrokes in the course of this one line for updating the system. Typically, after I do this, I'll take a snapshot of my VM, and that way, if something goes horribly wrong, I can revert to where I was and, make another attempt without having to do another complete reinstall. So, after that section, open up the NxFilter tutorial to the Linux section specifically, and then make a note of the location of the deb file. And so we'll use the wget command to download that for us, since we are going to be running this on a server install with no graphical interface. After that, install Java. So we are going to actually use the default JRE shortcut command, or package name rather, and this gives us OpenJDK 11. So the previous Ubuntu install, they were using OpenJDK 8. And so once that is done, we've got commands for installing the deb file, then enabling NxFilter so it starts when you restart the system, and a command to start NxFilter immediately. All right, and then you can do tail -f NxFilter log NxFilter.log and be able to see the progress of the installation there. So, all right, after you get that done, there is still a bit of an issue with the Resolve D application, and so, or service, excuse me. So we're going to stop that. We're going to disable it so it doesn't restart every time you reboot the system. We will remove the resolve.conf file. Alternatively, you could rename it and then create a new version of it with the next command. And then we should have a running NxFilter, and that should get us to the point where we can log into the web interface. So just for giggles, that is still doing updates. So we will talk about a few other things in the short term. All right, let's take that off. So, and I guess I'll open this up for input from the chat section, since there are 3 or 4 of you out there. What projects would you find interesting using an ESP32 board, which I think I've shown off, and I don't have it within arm's length right at the moment. I think I've shown that little board off in a previous video, but I will be starting up over the course of the winter, doing some projects, and I would like to integrate those into the channel content, and just sort of a build as you go type of thing, and be able to give updates every week and as part of the live stream. And if that gets popular, it might get split out as a second live stream during the week. So does anybody have any particular ideas that they would like to put forth for the little ESP32 board? I would be approaching this using MicroPython. My first thought is to implement a temperature humidity sensor and just kind of play with that, and based on that and using MQTT with it, put together an application where I can have that going directly to a little dashboard. So, let's see. We have okay. So nothing coming in on the ESP32 projects at the moment. How about a webcam? I have thought about that. Um, I don't have a camera module for the ESP32 at the moment, but those are relatively inexpensive. And that would that would be kind of interesting to do. I know with the Raspberry Pis, they've got a high def camera module now, and it will actually, I believe it does, what is it, RTSP, the real time streaming, RTMP, real time multimedia protocol, real time messaging protocol. Regardless of the acronym that I can't put right on the tip of my tongue, there are some interesting projects out there with Raspberry Pis and cameras. Um, and I'd have to look at the ESP32 stuff. I'm not sure if it has a good quality camera module, but that might be interesting because it would easily be battery powered and of course network connected. Um, let's see. Oh, very nice, Jacob. Um, I don't necessarily want to go completely down that route this video, but if you've got any good um, uh, resource sites, I would definitely be interested in having you drop those in the chat. I'm curious about some of those and being able to just get a head start on getting something moving. But I know my window of opportunity is closing on me rapidly if I want to have stuff in my hands before the end of the year. So I would have to make a quick decision on which parts to get ordered and get those selected and start the shipping process, especially if they are on the slow boat from overseas. Um, so, um, but yes, I would definitely be interested in talking DIY home automation stuff at some point. Um, uh, at this point, I've got a Has.io system installed on a Raspberry Pi, and I have a few things being controlled, but I want to go a little bit more of a DIY route going into the future. Um, just so I can get more things consolidated together under a single app from my phone and just have a little bit more information available to me. But I'm still in the planning stages on a few of those things, and I know Haas has come a long way, and it should be interesting to get some wholesale updates done on that, and look at the newer integrations that are available. So, just out of curiosity, that thing is still pulling down updates. That is really being slow today. Probably I'm taxing my internet connection a little bit too much, and I should have not started that video uploading to YouTube before I started this live stream. So hopefully my audio and video are not too choppy for all of you watching. Poor planning on my part this morning. Trying to do too many things at once, and the reality of the situation is that I probably needed to take a step back from the multitasking and take things a little bit more slow and steady and methodical. So let's see. Catherine, I think the PoE hat for the Raspberry Pi just goes on that on the GPIO pins, and it just sandwiches on top. So I don't have the PoE hat for the Raspberry Pi, but from the pictures I've seen of it, it operates very similarly to the PoE hat for the Arduino, which just gets pushed right on top of the GPIO pins. And if let's see, bring over the box of goodies. While we're waiting on other things to catch up with us. Let's see. I think this has... Yes, it does. So this contraption, this is the Arduino Uno with the... This is just the Ethernet hat for that. But it's still somewhat connected to the... Let's be in a pain today. Still somewhat connected up, other than the one pin here, with my temperature humidity sensor. And the way that we had this program to work is that this was part of a project I was working on with a group of people. The idea was that we were going to have various sensors throughout a building, have it reporting to a centralized dashboard. And I believe we were going to use Hass.io for that, but in conjunction with MQTT feeding the whole thing. So, unfortunately, that group of people kind of fizzled on the development of the whole project, and it didn't get fully fleshed out. But it's one thing that I would like to get back into. Okay, I'm going to reboot the demo system for NxFilter, just so we can hopefully get this moving forward a little bit quicker. And then I'll restart the update cycle once I get connected to it. So we'll see if this will go ahead and reboot. It says it's going to, but it's sitting there just staring at me. Cajoling Technologies, hello, welcome. I've been following you for a while, and I haven't actually reached out yet, but I'm glad to see you dropping in on a live stream. And feel free to add anything you'd like into the chat. The more the merrier. I see we're up to 6 people watching. We're about 40 minutes, almost 41 minutes into this. And yeah, the more the merrier. The more people we can get into chat and get people talking, the more fun this is all going to be. And hopefully this will continue to contribute to the growth of my channel. So everybody get acquainted in the chat, and if anybody has questions or comments or suggestions for topics to talk about while I'm waiting for that VM to reboot, then I would be happy to talk about those. And I just need to change one thing and I can get things rebooting again. And okay, maybe that will be starting up here momentarily. Okay. We'll see. We'll see if that works. All right. So, anything coming up special on either of your channels, David or Cajoling Technologies, that you'd like to share? Nothing like a shameless plug for either of you. I'm happy to do that from time to time. While this is continuing to reboot. It's moving along. Now it's moving a little faster. All right. That's better there. So, I've been doing these live streams for a month and a half now, maybe moving towards the 2-month mark. And the further I get into this, the more I'm liking it. So somehow I continue to be bit weekly by the live demo curse. Okay, David, set up a 7-inch monitor on your Linux server to show system stats, temps, connections, etc. That sounds like a good project. Working with Clearly IP and doing some reviews on IP phones and their free PBX box. Okay, that will be a video I will be watching out for. I've worked with free PBX in the past. Actually, when I was teaching IT courses, this is a fun story. When I was teaching IT courses, I was really pushing hard on open source stuff, much to the dismay of my management team at some points. But my students were very interested because I was able to introduce them to things like FreeNAS, Open Media Vault, the Fog project server. So that got them looking at imaging computers and Pixie booting and all kinds of other stuff. And then we also started working on a free PBX server in a classroom. And this was kind of interesting because it started off as a complete skunkworks project. I brought in a box from home and set something up as a demo, and I needed to take that box back home, so I, got in and hinted around with the IT manager, and I was actually able to get some parts ordered so we could continue down the rabbit hole of building a free PBX box in the classroom. Didn't see the whole project completely to fruition because I ended up changing jobs before the project was done, but it was a fun project, and my students did very much enjoy working on that. So, let's see how my server is doing. And we'll go forward here. And see if it'll let me log in. It's really laggy today. And it's probably because I'm taxing my network a little too hard at the moment. Okay. Should let me in, let me get the IP address of the server, and then we can get this process moving forward again. so I'm not feeling like I'm just stalling here. But hey, it's all good. So yeah, it's very interesting. Let's see if we can share my screen again. Nope, not that. My apologies for that. Stop screen. And let's see, let's do screen 2 for the moment. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can get an IP address for this. or we'll tack it from a different direction. We'll tack it from a different direction. Yes, you raise a good point for experimenting and learning. It's invaluable. Uh, the program I was teaching in was very much underfunded, and we were dealing with a lot of older equipment. And the even though we had uh, basically an unlimited number of Windows licenses available for use in the classroom, the machines that we had access to were just not running it very well. And management didn't want to spend money on buying more equipment for the program. And they ended up canceling the program at the campus I was teaching at. Um, so, it was a combination of my love for open source and the necessity of the situation that led me in the direction I went into. But I will say that those students were lucky in a way because they walked away from the program, from the classes I was teaching, with a better understanding of how the different pieces of technology work together, rather than just, oh, I download it and I go click, 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 install, and it all just happens for me in the background. Um, and it's unfortunately the way of the world right now that there are a lot of people out there that are just the clickers and don't have that full understanding. But I really tried to instill that level of curiosity in my students, and try to get them to a point that they were comfortable with things, even if they didn't completely understand it at the start of a project. As long as you know where to go to find the information and what questions to ask, then you can accomplish a whole lot. All right. So I'm guessing. We'll see if my guess is correct. And and it's not correct on that. Okay, let's go guess number 2. Um, nope. Let's see. 122, 150, 137. Maybe? Haha. Okay. A little guesswork. Okay. So, we are just going to copy in that and let it run. And once that is done, we will keep things moving. All right, so there we are. All right, we'll let that run in the background. That should take a few minutes yet. And um, yes, I agree, David. It takes the right group of students. Because when I was teaching, and I'm sure others have experienced this as well, you get some groups that have that intellectual curiosity, and you get other groups that that curiosity was never instilled in them, and it's an uphill battle trying to get them there and get them on board with uh, doing a project that relies on the curiosity part. And I had some groups that were great and some groups that were a complete struggle the entire time. And I tried to make them walk away with either an understanding or an appreciation. And I came across this sort of approach when I was working on my undergrad. So I've told the story before. I went back to school at 30, and I was just acing through my programming courses. And so one of my professors, he told me that I should apply to be a tutor for other students and make a little extra cash. And so this one particular semester, I was tutoring a young woman, and she was, I believe she was pre-law, and she had signed up for an intro programming class because she thought, oh, it's intro, it'll be easy. And she really ended up struggling with it. And so we met quite frequently at the library to help her work through some of the problems and just give her some level of understanding that she may not have been getting from the classroom lectures. And at the end of the semester, I had a talk with her, and I that was the first time I came across this sort of philosophical approach of to programming, that you'll either get it and you'll use it, or you'll appreciate other people that do it for a living. And at the end of that semester, she had that appreciation for other people. Um, she'll probably never touch programming again in her life. She's probably a lawyer by now, but at least she had a better appreciation for people in tech support and programming jobs and things of that nature. Um, so, Catherine, the end of that line that has the dash Y, normally, if you don't put the dash Y on, it lists out all the packages that are going to be installed, and it makes you hit Y and enter before it starts actually installing it. The dash Y at the end saves you an extra step. So really, it's that line, which, let me see if I can do this. This line up here is really doing two separate commands. Update. A lot of people used to do that as one line, so you do sudo apt update and hit enter, and it will pull down all the available updates. and then sudo apt upgrade by itself without the Y would give you a list of packages that are going to be upgraded, and then it prompts you, do you want to continue, yes or no? Well, if I'm going to run this, I know I want to continue. So it's just a matter of working with Debian based systems for such a long time that I saw other people doing this and adopted it years ago as a time saver to just shave a little bit of time off from doing some of these sometimes mundane tasks. So that's the explanation of that little piece there. Hopefully that's useful. I know when I first discovered it, it was rather enlightening, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Chain two commands together and say, yes, I want to do this, and I want to do it. It's all one process, and it just chugs along in the background until it's done. So I wish updates in Windows were this easy. Maybe in another 10 years they'll get there. Um, let's see. Are they going to let me show that? Oops. All right. I'm flipping through these too quickly. Um, Yeah, I've run into that as well, David. Not so much with my current job, but in previous jobs, I've definitely experienced that. Um, so uh, it's unfortunate, but I think every tech person runs into that from time to time. Um, You are very welcome. I'm always happy to pass on tricks that I've learned over the years. It's I've had situations where I've watched other YouTubers do Linux related things, and it's been again one of those eye opening situations where, oh, I didn't realize you could do that, but that makes a lot of sense. That'll save me some time. So you are very welcome for that, and I hope you save some time in the future. um, Very good, Catherine. I'm glad to see I've passed that along to two people in a single live session. Um, Definitely takes some getting used to. Um, if I can remember this genius one line command and have to do it a few times to learn it, not forget it. Yep. I have that same issue, and I've done this so many times on so many VMs and physical systems as well that it's just second nature. I don't type the line, just one of those commands anymore, and it's amazing. There are a lot of YouTubers out there that are still doing it the old way. One command, let it go, do the second command, and answer Y at the prompt, and let it go. And I won't claim to be some Unix guru. I'm far from it. I am always learning new things with Unix and Linux and Mac OS, all sort of under that Unix like umbrella. But it's interesting when I get into situations where I can pass one little tip on to people that they may not have seen before, and so thank you all for letting me find some worth in this today. So okay, we are going to go on to the next step in the NxFilter piece. And so I'm going to skip the VM snapshot because this one I'm going to just delete after the video. We're going to grab the NxFilter Debian file. And I had previously grabbed the URL where that's available from. So we'll use wget to pull that down. And give that a minute or so to come down. And we'll get Java going and then get the rest of this happening for us. And we may still be out of here by 12:30 today. We may go just a few minutes long. We'll do this, and we'll put the -y on there again, which I didn't have in my notes, but I'm going to add to my notes right now. So any of the apt commands, really, you can use the -y on, the install, the upgrade. There are several, and it works in other commands as well. Not consistently across everything, but there are a lot of commands that have that -y option. So let's see. VP referred to my team as those guys in long robes, a reference to the unmanageable Jedi, like in Star Wars. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Um, yep, I've done a lot of command line work over the years, and there are many tasks I still find myself going to the command line for, even on Windows. Um, and I will say that the Windows subsystem for Linux makes Windows a lot more tolerable for a guy like me that's been using Linux for 27 odd years now. I'm in Michigan. Um, I'm in Michigan, so um, yeah. Eastern time zone goes as far west as part of Indiana and sort of south from there. Um, and the western part of Indiana cuts over into central time zone. So um, I am not sure what state you're in though. Is this if you were to attend future live streams, is 11 o'clock Eastern a good time, or would this be better if I push this back an hour? I know I've had a few West Coasters join before, and I'd originally started doing these at 10 o'clock in the morning, and that was just too early for them. So I moved it back to 11, and I'm considering for the month of December, I'm considering trying noon Eastern to see if that works better for people. I don't know how much we should talk about Jedi. George Lucas might try to sue us or something, or Mickey Mouse might send his posse out after us. Now that they're all owned by Disney, I suppose. Um, I don't know if anybody's too young for Terminal. um, yeah, maybe Terminal only, but yes, I agree. I was back in the days when I had my Amigas. I was using a lot of Terminal on that as well, or the shell as they called it. Um, and the commands on the Amiga were sort of an amalgamation of DOS and Unix commands. So it was somewhat natural for me to uh, to break into Linux when I did, going from Amiga to Linux. Um, oh, beautiful. Connecticut is a state I don't think I've had anybody come in from before or even comment on my videos from before. So wonderful. Um, Catherine, I'm not familiar with that abbreviation. What is COT? Maybe I'm just being dense this morning. Um, too many acronyms to try to remember in the tech industry. Way too many. Um, so, all right. Well, while I'm waiting for the next chat comment to come in, we are ready to go ahead and drop in our next command here. Oops. Little too overzealous with my dash Y's today. So, installing NxFilter. Enable, so it'll start when the system starts. And copy that one. We'll start it now. All right. And then we're going to do the next set. So we're stopping and disabling Resolve D. And then we're going to do, we're actually going to switch to root just temporarily for the next two commands, because I had issues running them with sudo. And I don't normally recommend doing this. But there are a couple of situations where I do this just as a temporary thing, and then I log out of root. So we're going to do cat etc resolve.conf, and it does have our name server line in it. And then we're going to do we're going to tail the NxFilter log file, and that's going to give us a status of how many lines of things have been inserted in the database. So let's see. Work in White Plains. Your boss lives in Connecticut. Small world, I guess. New RJ45 crimp tool on the truck for delivery. Ah, okay. Had to get a new crimp tool. So David, this might be revealing about me, but I don't do cabling all that often anymore. So I'm one of those people that has moved to the cheat ends. So I use the pass-through ends for making my cables because I do it a few times a year and that's it. And I really got irritated one time when I was making cables and just was not having good luck with the ends that I had. So I was just curious which crimp tool you ended up buying, and if you're using the pass-through ends or if you're using the standard ends that you have to get the wires in just so, or they don't work out so well. So all right. Okay, so I'm going to quit out of this. Grab my IP address just for the sake of argument, and we will see that. Excuse me. I've got entirely too many tabs open. Let's open a new window. Paste in the IP address, and oh, we're blocked. So usually when you get this, the system is not completely updated, and so let's jump back to the terminal and we'll look at our tail command again, and it might still be adding things. If not, I'll have to go back and play with configuration a little bit more, and maybe a reboot would solve my issue as well. Yeah, I've used Keystone jacks. I don't really like the tiny wires myself. I've got, I guess, medium large hands. But yeah, I got hooked on the pass through RJ45 ends a few years ago, and I haven't really looked back because I'm not a person that does cabling for a living, and the little bit of extra cost on the pass-through connectors doesn't mean that much to me if it means that I've got a working cable on the first try. Now, in the 4 or 5 years that I've been using the pass-through connectors, it's gone from being offered by a single vendor for the crimp tools under the Easy RJ45 branding to and having knockoff Chinese ends available, to having a company like Klein Tools also make a pass-through crimp tool, or a pass-through ends, and a crimp tool that crimps those and cuts off the ends. I'm not opposed to cheating a little bit on something like that if it means that I can get the job done faster. All right. Um, let's get through a few more of these comments. Let's see. I would think. Okay, let's take these off. All right, I think we set a new record. I'm showing 8 people in the chat currently. So if you're lurking and you haven't said hi, please do. No, nobody currently in the chat bites, as far as I know. Um, and if they do, I'm sure they've all had their shots, so no risk of rabies or anything. Let's see. Do this. Let's jump back to Firefox and see. Bet I had to put admin on there. Okay. So we do in fact have NxFilter up and running. And that's very small. Hopefully that's a little bit more readable. The initial username and password is admin, which, yeah, I don't like seeing that, but again, it is what it is. The software isn't costing us anything, so I normally go in and change these things real quick, like after install. And so that's going to take a moment to get logged in. This is still, I think it's updated everything. As you can see, my login attempt, admin logged in, and it's got block count of 1, domain count 3. So obviously I've done 0 configuration on this yet, but we are in fact up and running. And from here you can start to configure. There's an agent, I guess you could call it, on for Windows machines, so you can filter things. It's not quite the what people think of for a lot of the content filtering. It can go a little bit more in depth than just being a DNS filter. So there are a few other bells and whistles built in. And it would be interesting, I suppose, chaining something like this in line with something like Pi-hole, and you know, have multiple layers of protection from different angles on things. So won't go through the whole configuration on this. But if we go into setup, you know, there are different things in here. And it does in fact support syslog. So you could have your log stored on a separate machine, which could be handy. under admin, you can reset the password. I think I'll do that right now. And we'll submit that. Okay. All right. Allowed IPs, alerts. There are many options and settings in this software that I have not ever completely gone through every one of them. I basically have configured it enough for whatever specific use case I've had, and the rest of the options I've left alone. I have supported this in a couple of environments before, but this does, I will be the first to admit, this does hail from a time really before some of the other filtering services were available that are more cloud-based. With that being said, you can run this in the cloud on a VPS, for instance, whether that be Amazon or DigitalOcean or Linode or Vultr. And then what you do is at each physical location, they've got something called NxRelay. So basically, it makes a connection from your local network to the cloud install of NxFilter. So that is really where I wanted to get with this today, is just getting through the basic install and being able to say, yes, it does in fact run on Ubuntu 20.04, and it's still a useful piece of software if students, tech students specifically, want to be able to get hands-on with setting something like this up. This segment of video will help you through that. And I may in fact just go through and chop up this video and piece together an install video just to push that project forward. So I'm not sure on that. It may be easier just to go through the install one more time. So that is up and running, or at least the base version of it. There are still things that you would want to do if you wanted to run this in production. So let's see. That's a good question. I try to make a joke, and this is what I get. Good thing I'm not a comedian. I'd be living in a cardboard box under the expressway. Anyways, all right. Thank you, Cajoling Tech, for the super chat. Fun fact, you are only the second person to ever super chat me, so thank you. I very much appreciate that. And yeah, I will be checking out more of your videos as well, and I'm sure we can continue to learn from each other, and who knows, maybe we can get some collaboration going in the future. It's always interesting to get different creators together and trading war stories and just sharing the knowledge and love of all things technology. So I very much appreciate that, and uh, I hope that you know, somebody out there in the future will continue to find my videos useful after uh, I have departed from this earth. But not to take a morbid turn or anything, but you never know what's going to happen in our current global situation, and until I've had that vaccine shot in my arm, I'm trying to be realistic about things to a degree. So, um, all right, let's see. There was a guy on a western horse on the expressway in or near Chicago. Oh, so we are closing in on 12:30. We didn't really get to talking about more gift ideas or anything. I'm definitely going to be thinking and researching on Arduino projects and ESP32 stuff, and I've got that BBC microbit as well. Um, and yeah, I've got some interesting ideas for moving through the winter months. In fact, I think some of that white stuff was actually coming down out of the sky before this live stream started. I really don't want to look outside again, but um, yeah, you know, it's it's going to be an interesting winter, and hopefully in the spring things will start to seem more normal to all of us. I can only hope. um, it's one way to look at YouTube, one long self-written eulogy. Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. I know David and I have talked about the idea of a legacy that will outlive us. And you know, it's something I've thought about even before he and I talked about it. But I have no kids. I'm not married, and so you know, at least for my nieces and other family members, you know, if they were to ever search my name on YouTube, they would have something. So um, may not be the most interesting thing, but it's something. So on that note, does anybody else have any closing thoughts or ideas that they want to talk about? I'm going to throw up a banner here as a reminder for next week. And all right. Well, I'm waiting for any further chat messages to drop through. Just a reminder, I will be streaming again next Sunday, which is the 29th of November, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. British Standard Time, and 8 a.m. Pacific. So I am considering moving this back to noon Sundays in December, or part of December. We might try it on one or two Sundays and see if it changes anything, with the option of dropping back to 11 o'clock if there's really no change. Let's see, I already showed that one. Pandemics last year, so we have 2 more, or 3 years, so we have 2 more to survive. Um, all right. Well, hopefully, hopefully the vaccination will cut it a little short, but it's going to take time to distribute that vaccination and get everybody vaccinated, or the majority of the people vaccinated. Hopefully, um, and hopefully that'll return some level of normal back to the world, since people don't want to people in the states here don't want to wear masks. I don't fall into that category. I've been wearing a mask religiously, but uh, there are a lot of people out there that are just fighting this. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of doing it at noon myself. Partially for that reason of being hungry at noon. I'm just trying to find a good time with the YouTube algorithm and putting this in front of as many people as possible, and um, get the conversation going. Try to build a buzz around the channel, and um, just keep things moving going into 2021. So that's the background on my thought about the experiment. Um, uh, I wouldn't want to go any later than noon, because there are things that I do try to get done on Sunday afternoons. But it's one of those things where I'm willing to adjust a little bit, uh, if necessary, and at least make adjustments going through the winter months where I'm going to be inside more anyways, because I'm not a big fan of the snow. So on that note, no, no, you're not the only one with that issue. um, I want to thank all of you for coming out and spending 90 minutes or so with me again this week. Um, Catherine, you've been a great help in keeping the conversation going. Um, David, as always, it's great to have you here. And Cajoling Technologies, I do have social media. I don't have a specific Facebook or anything for the channel, but that's something that I've been considering doing here in the very near future. But I will definitely be reaching out to you and uh, talking about possibly collaborating in the future. Maybe you and I and David and Catherine can all get in a session together and make things a little more interesting. So I'll head over to your channel and drop you an email there and give you some um, information on how to reach me and whatnot, and see where things go from there. On that note, thank you all for coming out. I hope to see all of you on Sunday next week. Ooh, we hit a milestone. Hold on, just hold the phone just a second. Um, uh, we just hit 10 people on the watching the video right now. So woohoo! um, that's a milestone for me. I've not had 10 on here before, but um, so yeah, I'm very open to collaborations in the future and trying to make things more interesting. And I will definitely be reaching out. And on that note, everybody have a great Sunday. For those who are watching and have not done so already, please take a moment to like and subscribe and click that bell icon for notifications. And yeah, if you've got questions, comments, or suggestions for topics, you can leave those in the comment section. And I hope to see everybody in the next live stream coming up next Sunday, November the 29th, 2020. Have a great day and a great week, everybody, and I will see you soon.